Hello, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Now I'm going to turn on my my TikTok, folks. Ooh, one moment here while we get Tiki-Taki turned on. There we go. Go live. Go live. Hello, everybody. Introduce yourselves as always. I'm going to look at the TikTok folks here. Say where you guys are all from, please. Hey, MT. I'm trying to see. There we go. Pay Rose, you are the first TikToker. Woo! Woo! Thanks for joining, everybody. Hey, Tiffany. Norway. Woo! If folks want to introduce where you're from, I think it's kind of a nice way for everybody to meet. I've got you up here on TikTok, and I've got you down below on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, mostly YouTube, though. But yeah, just introduce where you're from. I think it's kind of fun because we got folks from everywhere, and it's kind of fun to see. I leave my glasses on for this part so I actually can see all of this. Iowa, Canada, Mexico, que bueno. Texas, that's okay too. Savannah, Ohio, Wisconsin, Polish in Seattle, that's good. We're liking the Poles nowadays, especially. Another Canuck, there's a lot of you guys. UK, Spain, Minnesota, Norway, lovely. We always get a lot of Norwegians, or several Norwegians, although maybe it's the same Norwegians. Wales, St. Croix, Thomas, Seattle. I feel like Romper Room. I don't know how many of you guys grew up with Romper Room, where she'd sit around and she'd have the little magic mirror. I see so-and-so and so-and-so. And hold on, I'm going to wipe my little, that's okay. I can put the light a little higher. We'll see. I'm still adjusting my lighting here. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Not the best resolution on the computer. All right, guys, we'll get maybe, thank you already. We'll go maybe another minute of saying hello from folks just so people have a chance to arrive. Usually we only take a minute or two of this, so don't worry. If you're watching the recording on YouTube, you can just skip Romper Room. Yep, skip ahead. Although they had different Romper Rooms around the country, I believe. We had one in Chicago, but it wasn't the same everywhere. It is a rainy day here. Yes, Sasha did not get her power walk today. Australia, Alberta, Ontario. We got a lot of Canadians. Romania. Ooh, Dragos. There's a comedian, Dragos, who I watched on TikTok from Romania, who's fabulous, hilarious guy. Oh my God. Dragos. One of the most brilliant people I've ever seen. He's amazing. I don't even know what his name is on TikTok. But hilarious comedian if you ever see his stuff. And he does these short little bits, again, because it's TikTok, but these short little bits that are just always riffing on the audience. Very funny. Yep, just keep introducing where you're from, and we are about to start. Oh my God, David, that's funny. Wow. You really go back. That's like 2000. That is 2000. Here for 30 minutes. That's okay. Getting a second booster. We'll give you permission to go for that. All right, guys. Scotland, excellent. Joyzy. All right, guys, I'll start off. We've got a decent number of folks now on TikTok and YouTube, etc. As always, quick reminder, please follow me if you would. That sort of helps things in the future. I will start the show for about 15, 20 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, giving you a news summary, what happened today, what I think matters, why it's important. Then we will jump into the Q&A part, which usually goes on for a good 45 minutes or so. Thank you for the origami, Shiva. I think it was Shiva. You can submit your questions via TikTok. There's some kind of a question thing you can submit them through, and then I will actually pull up the questions. It's much easier that way. On YouTube, as always, put them in the comments. And if you are so kind as to buy a super chat question, then I will get to that one first, and it's a guaranteed get. Whereas the other questions, we always have way too many questions to get around. So this guy is still around, new person on TikTok. So let me jump in right away. I've got a new fundraiser we're doing for humanitarian aid to Ukraine. This one is for military aid kits, military grade. Let me rephrase that. Military grade aid kits, first aid kits that can go for civilians or military. I'm getting them off of Amazon. There's a Ukrainian-American group that's going to be shipping them, which is great. They'll pay for it. And they're about $104 each. And I'm setting a goal of raising $10,000. All of the money will go for the kits. If there's any extra, because you know how it goes, like you can't spend exactly the amount donated, it'll go for other humanitarian aid in Ukraine. As you know, we've already raised $30,000 in humanitarian aid with you guys. Amazing. 100% of it went to Ukraine. It's going to food, housing for the internally displaced refugees, clothing and medicine as well. And this time, like I said, 10,000 I'm raising for the med kits. The med kits are $100 each. That means we could buy about 100 of them. We've already raised, right before I signed in, I checked $2,123. Thank you all. Thank you for the bullseye. How appropriate for this. Anyway, you can find the links and all of that. YouTubers, you can see it on the screen there. TikTokers, maybe after the show, go to my profile. Click my profile. There's only one URL we can put in the profile. Click that link, and you'll see on the page that arises, the top one explains it's the fundraiser. So use that. It's via PayPal, but the cool thing is you can use your credit cards. You don't have to use PayPal. So just go there. Don't use my other links. It makes it way too confusing. This way, we get all the donations going through one port, and it makes it easy for me to also show you that this is how much I got, this is how much I spent. So much more efficient. Use that link. Thank you, guys. Let's dive into the news. So good news overnight. We found out that, in fact, the Czech Republic has sent slightly more than a dozen modernized Soviet-designed T-72 tanks to Ukraine over the last month. It's been done apparently hush-hush, but, that's fine. Glad that they got there. Hopefully they're going to get more. I'm a little surprised to even hear that they got those because, NATO's been a little worried about trying to make Russia mad. The other little interesting bit of news that the U.S. is denying there's anything here, but I was reading on Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty's website that the State Department has approved the potential sale of up to 8 F-16 fighter jets to Bulgaria. Bulgaria is one of the 3 former Soviet bloc countries. Thank you for that, by the way. Is one of the former 3 Soviet bloc countries that has fighter jets, the MiG fighter jets that Ukraine knows how to fly. Now, Defense Department was going, oh, no. This doesn't mean we're sending jets. It could mean we're sending jets. This is one hell of a coincidence that F-16s are going to Bulgaria right now. The idea, what Poland wanted, for example, was they send their MiGs to Ukraine. Thank you for that. And then the U.S. sends new fighter jets to the country, giving the jets so they can defend themselves. Because with everything going crazy with Russia now, Eastern Europe understandably doesn't want to send all of its weapons to Ukraine, and then they can't defend themselves. So that's why this is a very suspicious weapons transfer and hopefully very good. I saw that baseball hat. Thank you. Some news about the various towns. The last couple of days we were talking about Bucha and the horrific crimes there. Borodai is the next town they're worrying about a lot. It's directly north of Kyiv. Journalists and troops are already there. Massive destruction. Apparently, it's a much smaller town. They're calling it a one-road town. Like there's one main road in town, and that's it. Totally destroyed. Condominiums, apartments, everything destroyed. They're assuming several hundred people are dead. It's very bad. Just to add insult to injury, I was watching the news today and seeing these people's homes and how, the Russians just came in, ate everything, drank everything, threw bottles everywhere. Literally it looked like, drunk college kids at their worst behavior did this. And they painted V's all over the town. The letter V, which is their insignia for their war effort, basically as a way of putting up graffiti to say, we own your town. Really just incredibly obnoxious. Now, let me mention that one real quick. I'll mention the UN. Oh, you know what? I'll mention, okay. Ginger's got a quick question, which is going to be relevant in 3 topics. So I will get that when I get to the UN. Mariupol, the other town we've been very worried about. So Mariupol is the town that the Russians cut off a month ago. They cut off all food, all water, all heating and gas. Right? So these people have not had food. They haven't had electricity. They haven't had heat. It's been winter. It's been horrible. What's going on now is there's still maybe 160,000. They're not sure. People trapped in that town. The Russians are refusing to let any aid convoys in. The Red Cross has tried for days now to get in. The Russians turned them down again. And it just happened again, actually, today. The Red Cross tried to go again, and the Russians said no. The Russians want people to starve to death in this town. It's horrific. In creepy news, the Russian UN ambassador, and I'll mention then the UN stuff now, Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, goes to talk to the UN today virtually via Zoom or whatever they use, and he was speaking to the United Nations Security Council, right? gave a good speech, a very sort of horrifying speech. He showed a video documenting some of the war crimes that were just awful. Men, women, and children dead. Just it was. I mean, it was necessary, but it was awful. Well, oh, this is funny. This time it's the neighbor I've told you guys about. Sasha, the neighbor's home, turned on his lights, and my dog freaks out. Wait, hey. My dog. Sorry. This is what we get for doing lives from home, people. Any of you know from doing your thank you for your office Zooms. She's 12 years old. For 12 years, 10 years, she's watched this neighbor come home every night. Every time he comes home, she flips out. Okay, good girl. Good. Yeah, there you go. You've got to say good girl, and then they turn around. I show you her at the end of the show. She's 10 pounds, which makes it even funnier. She's this cute little dog that's like, arr, arr, arr. All right, back to the show. So Zelensky speaks today, called for the removal of Russia from the United Nations Security Council. That's just never going to happen. Sasha, relax. That's never going to happen. Unfortunately, it's just not. And obviously called for a war crimes trial, which a lot of us are calling for, including President Biden. So that will happen. It will be interesting to see in what venue the war crimes trial happens. It can't happen under the auspices of the United Nations because that has to go through the UN Security Council. Russia is a permanent member and therefore has a veto. Thank you for that on TikTok. So that's not going to happen. Nonetheless, there's other venues, the Hague and even a Nuremberg type trial, sort of an independent trial can be set up as well. The question would be who would oversee it? We'd have to find somebody that would be deemed impartial. Sort of 95 against 5 right now in terms of where the world stands on this. So that's going to be interesting. Okay, so OM Ginger had asked about all this today. After listening to the UN Security Council meeting today, do you believe Russia will be removed from the Human Rights Council? And thank you for the streams. So that was a separate topic. So Zelensky called for Russia to be removed from the UN Security Council. That's not going to happen. They're just not going to do that because it sort of upsets the whole apple. I'm not saying I'm defending this, but the Security Council was established with 5 permanent members: U.S., China, Russia, Great Britain, France, like sort of the big powers after the war. Not Germany on purpose, right? Not Japan on purpose after the war, and not Italy, same reason. So the idea is if Russia gets removed from the Security Council and loses its veto, then you're kind of opening up the whole can of worms, and it becomes, well, should the U.S. lose its? Should we get more? Should smaller countries get vetoes? It sort of opens up the whole ball game. So I think the U.S. wouldn't allow it to happen, let alone the other countries, especially the ones who have got the permanent vetoes. As far as the Human Rights Council, that was a separate topic. The U.S. called for, thank you, the U.S. called for Russia to be removed from the United Nations Human Rights Council yesterday. And I meant to look into it, but I would pretty much guarantee, oh no, I do know this. I'm sorry, I had it in my notes yesterday. It requires a 2/3 majority of the United Nations General Assembly. The General Assembly is 193 countries, I believe. So you would need 2/3 of them to kick Russia off the Human Rights Council. It's not a bad idea because it's kind of gross that Russia's on the Human Rights Council with their human rights abuses, but the UN has a history of putting some of the worst abusers on the Human Rights Council. Nonetheless, they shouldn't be on there, and it certainly would be embarrassing for Russia to be removed. So why not? Oops, you okay, you? All right. So dog's drinking water, drank a little too fast. This is like having kids here, folks. So in response to them, Russia's UN ambassador puts out a statement, and then should I read his? Oh yeah, I do want to read his. Oh my God, the Russian UN ambassador sort of puts out a statement today, or responds to Zelensky accusing him of war crimes, and frankly, the U.S. and everybody else accusing Russia of war crimes by saying, and it's specific. Listen to this: the Russian UN ambassador Vasily Nebenzia blames Ukraine he's blaming Ukraine for the problems happening there for not upholding agreements to allow for humanitarian access to civilians. I'm going to go on in a second, but Russia has been bombing civilians, and then they set up humanitarian corridors and then bomb the civilians in the corridors. And it's something they have a history of doing that they did in Syria too. They also did it in Ukraine back in 2014 when they asked a bunch of Ukrainian troops to lay down their arms and they would let them evacuate. So the 400 Ukrainian troops laid down their arms, got into the safe zone to evacuate, and the Russians bombed and killed them all. This is what the Russians do. When they set up these corridors, they lie, and they either kill you or they don't let you go at all. So in any case, so the Russian UN ambassador says, Ukraine is not upholding the agreements to allow for humanitarian access to civilians. The Red Cross just said that it's the Russians not letting them. He says, without offering proof, listen to this, that Russia has managed to save more than 123,000 people from Mariupol. Listen to this. This is why I like to do this show, because this is where you go a little deeper in the news. Russia has managed to save more than 123,000 people from Mariupol. How has Russia saved them? Is he talking about the reports that we thought it was only 62,000, that Russia had kidnapped tens of thousands of thank you for that, of Ukrainian citizens from Mariupol and dragged them either to eastern Ukraine that's occupied by Russia or to Russia proper? Is that what it certainly sounds like that's what he's saying, because how else do you save civilians in Mariupol when you've bombed 90% of the town and everyone is hiding in bomb shelters? I mean, there is no business as usual in that town. It is bombed every second of every day. So I think the Russian UN ambassador just confessed to a war crime. Lovely. The really scary quote as well from former Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev, whose name I've known of this man for 20 years, but I'm finally getting his name down. And Medvedev says today, I'll put on my nice little Costco glasses for this. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev connected the portrayal of events at Bucha, and Bucha, mind you, right, is the initial town where all the Russian human rights crimes happened at, the war crimes that we've been talking about for a few days now. Thank you for that, by the way, on TikTok. So Medved connected the portrayal of events, meaning, he's upset at the way people are claiming that war crimes happened, right? He connected it to the need to denazify Ukraine and rid its people of anti-Russian myths, in addition to what he described as the fictitious idea that there is an independent Ukrainian identity. Sounds like we're justifying war crimes against civilians here. In a Telegram post, Telegram, is another social media app. The Russians like it a lot. It's owned by Russians. Mr. Medvedev said Bucha is an example of the Ukrainian army's willingness to kill its own people to blame the murders on Russia. We all know he's lying, but it also was already disproven. I've seen multiple sources. The New York Times did it as well. Thank you for that on TikTok. The New York Times did it as well, where they pulled up the satellite photos, and they pulled up the satellites from like March 9th and 8th, and there's no bodies on the street, but the Russians are already occupying Bucha. March 10th, full of bodies, and the bodies are in the exact same positions they were when the media and the Ukrainian troops went in a couple days ago, proving that these people, who killed them? Well, the town is under Russian martial law, where Russians control everything, and a bunch of civilians end up dead on the streets within one day. Who do we think did that, right? So anyway, we know it's a lie, but listen to this last sentence from Medvedev, the Russian president, or the former Russian president, excuse me. Mr. Medvedev said Ukraine has turned into the Third Reich, adding, it will meet the same fate. These people, boy. The U.S. is going to announce, thank you for as I take off my glasses, the TikTok throws its new glasses on. Candace, I think that was you. Thank you. The U.S. is announcing new sanctions tomorrow on Russia, including, and this one's kind of interesting. It's a little complicated, but I was helped by by one of you emailing me. Oh my God, I'm already forgetting your name. Colby. I think it was Colby. Yeah. Colby was helping me by email, alerted me to the story, and then helped me because I didn't want to get it wrong. It's a finance story, but it's actually quite interesting. So the U.S. changed its tune yesterday and made it so that Russia may now default on its debt. Now, thank you for that. Let me explain this. So Russia has a lot of national debt that they own. They own, people own the debt in bonds, and they've got to pay off the bonds and everything else, right? So Russia had a bunch of money due yesterday, and they needed to access U.S. dollars. Up until now, we know that the U.S. had frozen Russian banks. And moderators, if you got anybody to go over to TikTok, I wouldn't mind it. There's just obnoxious people left and right there. Some folks are trying to make this political, and I think they're fakes, by the way. So if you see anybody who's trying to make this a left versus right thing, they're faking it. But if you wouldn't mind going over there and doing some damage, I'd appreciate it. I was saying with the U.S. So anyway, with the banks. Okay. So the U.S. froze the Russian assets. Okay. And apparently, and I'm not sure why, like I heard the story today and I kind of went, what do you mean we're doing this now? Well, when the U.S. froze Russian money in the U.S. banks, we've been allowing them each month, special dispensation to use the money to pay off their debt, to make their debt payments each month. Now, I'm not sure why, but whatever. Finally, yesterday we said no more, and saying that basically Russia, if you want to pay off your debt, you've got to use the own money you've got stored under your mattress at home. Well, we all know that Russia has like 600 billion in I'm already forgetting how you call it, but basically 600 billion in currency reserves, in basically money they've saved at home. Half of that money was frozen by sanctions, but the other half wasn't. And that's money now, $300 billion that they can use for their war machine, for all sorts of things. By the U.S. doing this, by the U.S. saying you can no longer use the money you've got in U.S. banks, we're forcing them to go into their war chest, their literal war chest, and use that money instead to pay their debt. Well, what does that do? It takes money away from the war effort, or it gives Russia the choice of simply defaulting on their debt. They've got 30 days to pay this, by the way. They couldn't pay yesterday because the U.S. froze it 30 days. If they don't pay it within 30 days, they default on their debt. And that is not good news. First of all, it would be embarrassing as hell for Russia. Second of all, it would make it so that they couldn't get any other loans. Not every bank is part of the sanctions currently, so there still are some banks dealing with Russia. Russia wouldn't be able to get, either they wouldn't get any more loans, or they would get them at ridiculously high interest rates. So this is a really interesting move for the U.S. to do. But as I said in my TikTok video on this earlier, I was like, we're just doing this now? Like, why are we? This is frustrating to me a little bit that we're still playing this game of sanctions that we're going, oh yeah, we could have done that, which leads me to the next story. The European Union has proposed sanctioning Russian coal, meaning they would stop buying Russian coal. I read earlier, I want to say 4 billion or 6 billion euros a year. It's not a ton of money. I mean, I'm forgetting the exchange rate now with the euro. Is that $6 billion a year? Something like that. It's not a ton of money in the grand scheme. In terms of, for example, the amount of natural gas Europe buys from Russia, that would be only 3 weeks worth of natural gas. The total amount of coal they purchase, that 6 billion or so, whatever it is, would be only 3 weeks of their natural gas purchases. So they really need to go after natural gas and oil. Thank you for that, Doc. I did see it, by the way. I was in the middle of a sentence that I was already screwing up. So it's a step in the right direction. The other thing, and this gets us back to the earlier discussion of now you're doing this, the European Union is going to sanction Putin's 2 daughters. And adding to this, it's not clear if the White House is going to sanction them when it announces the new sanctions tomorrow. In other words, the European Union and the White House both have not sanctioned Putin's daughters yet. And again, which leads us all to a resounding question of why not, right? Yet again, what are we waiting for? I just do everything we can. I mean, it's not like, oh, now that we go after Putin's daughters, he's suddenly going to go, oh, I'm not going to kill civilians anymore. We need to pressure everybody around him. I mean, if Putin's daughters were sanctioned a month ago, at least they'd be able to put a little more pressure on dad, which frankly isn't always a bad thing. I mean, the guy's a dictator, but he still loves his daughters, one assumes. So anyway, that ticked me off. That ticked me off a lot about that. Yep, I will get to the Q&A as soon as I'm done. We're almost done with the summary topics. I've got 2 more. The Bucha looters, thank you for the disco ball. The Bucha looters. So Bucha, as we said earlier, thanks for the roses, the town where the Russians did all the war crimes that we know of. I mean, let's face it, Bucha is not the only place they did this. Mariupol is going to be disgusting when people finally get in there and see what the Russians did. But anyway, one of the things that happened after Bucha was the Russians pull out. They start making their way north, probably to Belarus, which is their puppet. I don't want to say a puppet state. I mean, it's a real country, but it's run by a dictator who is a puppet of Putin. And many of these troops invaded Ukraine through Belarus, because basically you start in Russia, you go west, and then you go down into Ukraine, right? So they're escaping the Kiev area. Remember how the Ukrainians basically beat their butts in the Kiev area, and those Russian troops are leaving via Belarus as well. Well, somebody got their hands on video from a post office in Belarus showing, it must have been, I'm guessing it was hacked, showing all these Russian troops coming into the post office and shipping things home. And they're things like scooters, One guy's got like 12 car batteries. And people are like, where the hell did he get car batteries from? It's the loot these guys took from people's homes and from their cars in Ukraine. And what Zelensky's staff did, Zelensky's top staffer, president of Ukraine, thank you for that, his top staffer who does sort of all the digital stuff, the online stuff, and technology in general, puts up a poster of a guy. They've identified one of the guys because they've got pictures of all of these guys now as soon as they get to the counter, and they're all over the web. Well, apparently they've identified who this guy is. They find his sort of professional formal photo. He's a special force soldier. He was in Bucha. They know that he was in Bucha as well. And this guy is there mailing a package home, presumably stuff that he stole from Bucha. So Zelensky's staff put it out there, which was wonderful to see. But he is going to be in sorry straits because, again, looting, war crime. So final story, and then we do questions. That's not too bad. Is Krispy Kreme, which is a big American, I'm assuming, donut company. They have little shops selling donuts, which are basically American beignet, all over the country. And they just announced that they are, in fact, pulling out of Russia. They're closing down all of their franchises, and they will soon be out of the country entirely. So that is very cool. All right, guys, I have my sip of water, and we go to questions. Woo. Boom. Either one I can do. Hold on, I'm looking here to see. Again, you YouTubers always make it hard. I mean, I love that you talk to each other, but you always make it hard. Does Putin even acknowledge his daughters? I don't really know what relationship he has with the daughters, like whether he has a bad one. I think he's got an okay relationship with them. He may not talk about them because he doesn't want a lot of attention on them. I mean, even our presidents don't necessarily put a lot of attention. Oh, it was you, MT. I always forget that's actually you. Sorry. Colby is MT. I shouldn't tell them your name. So let me go to a TikTok question then. Hold on, guys. God bless the TikTokers. A slew of questions. What would happen if Putin's convicted of war crimes, asks Mandabear. Well, if he's convicted, he'd go to jail for life. The problem is, one, you got to get your hands on him. In other words, they've got to get his jurisdiction on him to be able to arrest him, to bring him to this court to be tried. Two, war crimes are difficult to prove in general, and they're very difficult to prove with heads of state, with leaders of countries. The reason is, and the reason I say it's hard to prove is, you've got to go, for example, the crimes in Bucha, right? I gave this example the other day. The guy there was a man on the ground with there were several of them, but one famous one on this road through town that had like 20 bodies, and he's got his hands behind his back tied. Thank you for the birds, or maybe they were butterflies. He's got his hands tied behind his back, and he's been executed. Well, first of all, who tied him up? Okay. Second of all, who shot him? I mean, was he shot by a Russian? Was he shot by a Ukrainian? I mean, we know who did it, but you've got to think about this as a court of law, right? So you got to prove to the court, prove to probably an actual jury who did this, right? So you got to prove that it was the Russians. Then you got to prove which Russian, which maybe we know the thousands of Russian soldiers or hundreds that were in that town because there was a big data breach. And I found out that data breach may not have been anonymous. It may have been another group that did it. Anonymous helped broadcast it, but it might have been another group that I think was claiming credit. Either way, there was a big data breach of 120,000 Russian troops that are in Ukraine right now, the ones that are serving, and they seem to have been able to narrow down many of the young men that were in Bucha. But how do you prove which one shot him? You've got to get somebody else to admit it, right? Or find a document that has it. How do you prove that their boss, oh, they are butterflies. Okay, thank you for that. How do you prove that his boss, maybe his colonel or whatever it is, his corporal, I don't know, his major knew about it and gave the order and approved it? Then how do you know Russia has like 20 generals in charge of Ukraine? How do you know that his general knew? Thank you for the origami. How do you know that the Minister of Defense knew, and how do you know that Putin knew? So you get this whole, now you don't necessarily have to prove, I mean, I am not an expert on war crimes, but I am a lawyer, so I can sort of, game this out. You don't necessarily have to prove that Putin gave the order to kill that man on the street. What might be enough is, and I don't know how this worked with the Nazis, but I'm going to guess similar things, although they had a lot of documents too. But if Putin gave an order and said, kill the civilians, leave no civilians in those cities, or go ahead, I want you to bomb apartment buildings to start with because I want to scare the citizens. If Putin gave that order, then Putin's guilty. If his minister of defense gave that order. So there are ways of connecting them to these, but it is apparently a very meticulous, and I'm sorry, the other problem is you got to get witnesses. So you've got to actually find people in the town who witnessed it and who are willing to talk about it. So it's a very long process. So yes, Putin would go to jail for life if he's convicted. The problem is you got to convict him. Having said that, and then I'm going to go to the questions. I got some more questions here. I saw Senator Durbin, who's a Democratic senator from Illinois, U.S. senator, today talking about how U.S. law doesn't necessarily like ban war criminals from coming to the country and being citizens. Like we've had this happen before where we've sort of discovered war criminals in our country. And Durbin said, apparently a lot of our laws don't really let us go after them. It's really weird. So anyway, he's a Democrat. I'm sure one would assume the Republicans will agree with him on this. They're looking at doing some changes to the law to, again, make it more easy for us to punish people who do these kind of things. So Harvey, and I'm going to remove the question from here. I'm almost afraid of touching TikTok because it freezes sometimes. And just know if TikTok freezes, I can tell because you guys write I can still see your comments even if it freezes. So let me know if it freezes. So Harvey writes, well, the U.S. chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff stating around 2 hours ago, let me tell folks who that is first. So the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is our top military official. He is not, he's our top military official, meaning the person who runs the U.S. Pentagon, the U.S. military, is always a civilian. That's the way U.S. law has it, always a civilian. And the top military person, thank you for that, by the way, the top military person is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. But they're still responsible to the Secretary of Defense and the president, right? So the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the top U.S. military official, General Milley, was testifying before Congress today, and that's what Harvey's referring to. So Harvey says, he stated around 2 hours ago, let me see this here, the likelihood of a significant international conflict is increasing. He also said, and I had the quote, it's funny, I skipped over it because I didn't want to take any more time. I also had the Milley's quote. He said that this conflict in Ukraine poses the greatest threat to peace and security in Europe and perhaps the world in his 42 years of serving in the military. So Harvey's question is, do you think NATO is preparing for an intervention of some kind? Let me even go one step further with what Harvey's saying. Harvey is saying that reading between the lines, it sure kind of sort of feels like maybe Milley was trying to get us all ready for going to war with Russia. I mean, saying that this is so, and Daniel, I do see you, by the way. Thank you so much. You'll be next. By saying this, it sounds like Milley is trying to get us sort of psychologically ready, that this is very dangerous. It's dangerous than anything he's seen in 42 years. Now, 42 years gets you beyond the Cuban Missile Crisis. So 42 would get you 1980, I guess. So he's saying from 1980 on, the most dangerous thing. Sorry. As always, I have a dog, so remember we have to just hey! I told you, this is the time that I'm convinced the neighbors must go play with their dogs at the hall. Because every time I've got you guys on, a little after 7 Eastern time, the dog goes off. And then I've got to yell at her a few times and she'll stop. So excuse me for this. But in any case, I think so. I think take that quote together with Biden yesterday saying that Putin needs to be tried for war crimes. Those aren't the kind of quotes you make when you're looking at a peace treaty around the corner. They're the kind of quotes you make when you're preparing your people for something that is going to drag out and be bad. And I knowing Biden, I mean, I don't know Biden, thank you for that, but knowing Biden, he really does not want us to get into this war, but I also think he's realistic about if we ever get to the point that we have to get involved in this war and realizing that we might have to. Especially, for example, like I said, if Putin uses biological and chemical weapons and how he uses them is going to matter too. Does he kill one person? Does he kill a town full of people? Does he kill 300 people? Is it caught on camera? Do we have videos of these people afterwards? I mean, it's crazy to do that kind of detail, but all of that will affect how serious the public takes it. And a nuclear weapon, forget it. He uses a nuclear weapon, and I think it's game over. I think we're involved. Any case, so yeah, I hadn't thought about that, Harvey, until now Sasha wants to run out, of course. I hadn't thought about that until you said it. You want to go out there or no? Of course not. She smells, oh my God. my prima donna. It's been raining all day, but it's not raining now. But the prima donna opened the door, smelled liquid in the air, and decided she does not want to play on the balcony today. In any case, that's really interesting, Harvey. I hadn't thought of that, but I think you're potentially right that your quote, along with the quote I just read, sounds like our top military head is almost preparing people for something that's to come. At least, let me rephrase this, at least what he's signaling is this is far more dangerous a situation than people realize, meaning the risk of us getting involved is much higher than people realize. He may not be saying, I think we're going to get involved, but he's preemptively warning us that this is very dangerous. Daniel, and thank you, Daniel. That was incredibly generous of you as well. I ran out of good questions. So how about NATO conducts a special military operation in Ukraine to eradicate rapists, thieves, and murderers? Exactly. We wouldn't go into Ukraine for a war, because Daniel's joke there, he's got a second part, is that, let me actually say this. I know that's a bit cute, as you'd say, but will anyone ever come to the rescue with more than supplies? What he's referring to is how Putin refers to the war as a special military operation. It's not a war. And I'm with you. You know, it ticks me off. I heard one of the former U.S. generals on TV today. I couldn't tell you which because I was sort of flipping the channels. And he was saying how, and it's funny because like I've been saying this too, I mean, before I saw him say it. He said, you know, we could have put NATO troops on the ground before the war started, and it would have prevented all of this. Now, it might have been General Wesley Clark. I'm not sure. But I heard it and I was like, that's what I was saying it last night to you guys, actually. I said, we could have put UN peacekeepers or we could have put NATO troops. Other people I've seen, Bullseye, and Bullseye is appropriate now on TikTok, by the way. Origami, thank you. The other thing is we could still do it. We could still put troops. Actually, he might have even been saying this too today. We can put troops in Kyiv now. Kyiv is now free. Let's put troops there. Peacekeepers. Thank you for that. Let's put peacekeepers in Western Ukraine. The Russians aren't fighting. They're dropping bombs occasionally, but they're not fighting in Western Ukraine. Let's put peacekeepers there. This way we guarantee at least that these actually, screw that. Maybe not the two-thirds, excuse me, but Russia's occupying the east at this point and sort of the southeast. Let's put troops everywhere else. I mean, you could put a buffer zone of a couple hundred miles, but let's put troops everywhere else. The problem is that would take U.S. officials having the backbone and to be risk prone enough to say, okay, we're willing to put them there on the risk that Russia actually attacks them. But, you know, Russia attacks them and Russia's in trouble. So, you know, as far as that goes. Yeah, too cute. That's funny. You've only been seeing me a month here. You're already learning my vernacular. Lori Keene, I missed you. I'm sorry. What is exactly stopping aid going in? Do they just get told by the Russians, no, you're not allowed? I don't have the details, but I'll bet you that's exactly what's going on. Yeah. The Russians have surrounded the town, and they've certainly surrounded the highways, and they've got tanks on every highway. And you try to come into the town, and there's a tank there that literally says, turn around, or we're going to shoot you. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, and they do a U-turn. Yep. I didn't mean to give such a quick answer, but you are spot on. That's exactly what they do. All right, scrolling down. Thank you for catching that, by the way. I apologize for that. Lori, if there's Lori. Missed questions. I see Lori. Sorry. Well, you know what it is? As I'm answering something, the screen scrolls by, and sometimes I don't see the scroll, so I apologize for that. All right, TikTok question. Hang on, guys. I will pull up a TikToker. Boom. And anybody who's new, welcome. We're at the part of the broadcast where I take questions and we talk about your questions regarding Ukraine and Russia. I don't think we're close. I mean, it's worth answering. David Kelly asks, how close are we to full-bore World War III? I mean, I don't think, you know, I'll bring it up because this is always a pet peeve of mine. I think we let the Russians psych us out. Now, one of the things the Soviets used to do, right? And the Soviets, I can tell my dog is, oh God. I may take a break in a minute and give my dog a little, yeah. If you know what? If you don't mind, I'm going to take a break for 1 minute because my dog is now panicking because it's raining. And when it panics, she gets into thunder mode where she thinks it's going to thunder. And I've got a little, this little tranquilizer pill that helps her. And I don't want to go for the way normally we go for at least another hour, which I will, but I don't want to sit an hour before she gets this medicine. I apologize, guys, but she saw the rain outside and got scared, and I can't sit and watch my dog shake. So give me 1 minute. Yes, you're going to get a treat. Yes, little unbeknownst to you, Doggy's little helper. All right. 1 second, guys. Thank you for bearing with me here. If you have a pet, then you'll appreciate where I'm coming from. All right, yes, peanut butter. Oh, boy. Sasha has no idea what's hiding inside the peanut butter. Oh, boy. Oh, how good is that? Yes. Oh, man. Best treat ever. All right. I'm going to give you a little more water. All right, a little more water, because all of us like water after our peanut butter. There we go. All right. Okay, good girl. No, you're okay. You're good for now. Relax. All right. Sorry, guys. She was shaken, and at the risk of losing some of you, actually, I did not. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. TikTok, too. I appreciate you guys staying. That was nice of you. I was a little afraid you were going to disappear, but I thought, you know what? What do you do? I mean, she literally shakes. It's like it's a horrible thing. And I know you're not supposed to pander to them, but it's just like after 12 years, there's no way. Any case, World War III. So here's the deal. The Soviets used to always, thank you for that, always used to talk about World War III. Oh my God, there's going to be World War III. If NATO's going to cause World War III, if Reagan's going to cause World War III. I even had somebody ask me, I was in Moscow in 1984, February of 84, when all the Soviet leaders were dropping dead. It was this kind of weird thing in a row. They kept dying. And we're on a Russian bus. And the Russians did not feel safe talking to Westerners. I mean, it was clear we were Westerners by the way we're dressed. Everybody there is wearing some like long overcoat, wool hat. The like rabbit fur or more if you've got nicer stuff. And I'm there in like my ski parka and my ski cap because it's what it was freezing. I mean, it was really freezing there. But our warm weather stuff, our ski cats and ski jackets, which I think probably, especially back then in Russia, the Soviet Union, made you look like a millionaire. So some guy comes up to me in the bus. We are person to person. And again, no one will talk to you. And literally, this guy was like, and I'll pull this one up so I don't forget from Tyson. Comes up behind me, 6'3", blonde, fur hat. Comes up behind me, gets to my ear, and he goes, "Does Mr. Reagan want nuclear war?" And I was kind of like, so we had this really interesting discussion on the bus with this guy about nuclear war. And I was like, no. I said, America doesn't want it. You don't want it. We know that if we do it, you'll do it. If you do it, we'll do it. And, we just have to make sure we don't. But no, we like you do not want this. So, but it was fascinating. And what bothers me is that has been a Soviet talking point. And with this war in particular, it became a Russian talking point, and we fell for it. Biden himself, I love what Biden has done in terms of putting this coalition together, but Biden himself kept talking about it's going to be World War III. If the U.S. gets involved, it's going to be World War III. And it was a Soviet, and it is Putin's talking point. And we're buying into Putin's talking point. And my biggest problem with this is that by saying this, and I say this sort of as a lawyer because we're used to taking arguments to the extreme to disprove them. But if military engagement with Russia per se means World War III and the end of the world and 7 billion people worldwide die, then we should do anything possible not to engage with Russia. And that means whatever Putin does, even using nukes, we shouldn't get involved militarily because it'll be the end of the world. And take it one step further, lawyer ad absurdum, Putin invades Poland. Putin invades the Baltic states. Hell, Putin invades the United Kingdom. Well, we shouldn't get involved because 7 billion people are going to die with a B. Isn't it better to lose all of Europe than lose the entire world? Right? I mean, this argument, I think it's a bad argument. I think it reinforces a fear in all of us so that, frankly, you're asking questions like that because I think our leadership has let us down. To be honest, it's not your fault. And the worst part, and I will move on now, but the worst part is it also sends a message to Putin that we're scared. Every time we talk about, we don't want to send MiGs to from Poland to Ukraine because then Putin will get angry. If I'm Putin, I go, ka-ching. They're scared. They're scared. I've got to keep them scared. So let's see. Why don't we buzz Sweden with nukes, with a plane with nukes on it? Let's make them think we're going to use chemical weapons. I mean, right? I just think this was a very dumb move on the U.S.'s part. Basically, don't telegraph what you're going to do and don't telegraph what you're not going to do. All right, Tyson Ann. Of course, I'm worried about a world war. Maybe a dumb question, but no dumb questions. But is it true we don't necessarily have a defense system for nuclear weapons? Correct. We don't. It's funny. Somebody asked this the other day. I need to sort of I'm going to ask MT, who's on here, who's our MT history buff on the YouTube, but I can also, whatever he writes, tell you guys on TikTok. Do we have anything today that even does anything? Now, what Tyson Ann is talking about is the SDI program, the Strategic Defense Initiative that Reagan had proposed. A lot of people made fun of Reagan, but, it wasn't a dumb idea. The idea of, is there any way we can shoot these weapons out of the sky? Basically akin to the way that you can shoot cruise missiles and things out of the sky. With some of these, the Ukrainians have been doing it, actually. They've been shooting down some of the Russian cruise missiles that are coming to their cities. So is there any way that you can use these systems to take the nukes out of the sky, as the rockets are coming in? I mean, some of them are cruise missiles, so I guess we do have some defenses against cruise missiles. But, Patriot missile systems, yeah, but that doesn't get everything. Exactly. We have the Patriots, which the Israelis have been using for years. Right, so it's the missile system. Then, if they've got missiles coming at their country, the other missiles take them down. But yeah, they're not going to work on everything. So yeah, actually, well, Joseph weighs in too and said, we've got systems. We have nuclear defense systems, but obviously nobody can say if they work. And all you need is one bomb to get through, and it's the end of the world. Well, it's the end of Chicago at least, right, or New York or DC. So that's the problem. And even worse with these, I know when I was actually working on arms control, but this is back in like the late 1980s, early 1990s when I was in the Senate. And, back then the big concern were MIRVs and things like these multiple independent reentry vehicles. I don't even know how the weapons are set up today, but that the one rocket could go up and then throw off 20 bombs in different directions. And they would spin and go like 20 different places that one rocket could hit. And now you've got 20 little bombs to hit. So it's a very complicated thing. Yeah. So, Javi, reports are saying Russian troops who have moved back over the border into Belarus, which I mentioned earlier, these are the Russian troops who have not given up, but given up fighting in the north against Kyiv. So they're returning to Belarus to sort of recuperate. And the Belarus are selling and dumping stolen items. Oh yeah, you must have come late. We talked about that. Do you think they've been spooked by all the talk of war crimes trials? Well, this is funny. This is what I wish I had let me see if I've got one of the pictures here. As always, it's on my phone, but my phone is being used for TikTok, so I don't dare. Oh, okay. You all know me too well. The picture, I open my iPad and what comes up at the very topic we're talking about. This is the picture that Zelensky's staff showed today. I'm going to put it to sort of TikTok first and then to YouTube. This guy is a Russian special operations guy. On the one side in his fatigues, he's entering a post office in Belarus, trying to ship stuff back home. His other picture is his official, formal military uniform. And according to the records, they've been able to access the Ukrainians, probably because of all the leaked documents that Anonymous and others have leaked. He was in Bucha. So the question is, was this gear that he looted from Bucha? Other pictures, and they've got pictures. They've got pictures of every soldier who was there. There's other pictures of these guys with like bicycles. My favorite one was one guy has 12 car batteries, and people are like, what, did he go to the local, car mobile, like the, car auto shop? Like 12 batteries? He stole them from Ukrainian cars. Not to mention things are so bad in Russia that they're stealing batteries from cars during wartime. Come on, guys. But yeah, very, very annoying. I don't know if they're spooked of war crimes. They better be spooked now, because we've got their names, their passport numbers. I saw email addresses today of a bunch of them. We know who everybody is, and it looks like we may know everybody who was in Bucha. And if we know everybody who's in Bucha, we're now a hell of a lot closer. The only thing is, you got to get your hands on these guys. And a lot of these guys, if they're small town boys from Russia, they may never plan to leave Russia anyway, because they're like, lower class, or not lower class, meaning working class Russians. They're not going to be flying to Europe anyway. So question as to whether we can reach them. But yeah, okay, I did get Daniel. Yep, I got. Yep, okay, yeah, I did get both of you guys. Okay. Oh, sorry. Bev, excuse me. Bev Winiski asks, Did you see the bans from the EU Commission? Mentioned some of them earlier, but I didn't see all the details. They were talking about banning coal purchases, and they were talking about banning the Putin twins, or not twins, his daughters, and I was a little ticked. Right, closing ports to Russian ships, road transport. Road transport is good. Okay, I did not see that. That's good. We've been complaining for a while that trucks have been able to go back and forth from Poland through Belarus to Russia, and that Russia's been getting a lot of trade. And you've seen activists who have been trying to shut down the roads, but that's like just some activists. So that would be great if they shut down the road transport too. I always I saw it, and they included the Putin girls, and I was asking why the hell weren't Putin's daughters sanctioned like a month ago, like now, and the U.S. hasn't sanctioned them yet. But I always like to see let's see what comes out tomorrow, because I always want to see somebody who kind of analyzes it first and says, like an economist type, to say, are these significant additional sanctions or not? And frankly, I guess here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. I was going to say, why haven't we done it already? On some of these, we know it hasn't happened, because if they're significant, like the sanctions on oil and gas, natural gas sales from Russia, they're so significant that they hurt the Europeans too. We know that. So some of these other things, for example, if you ban transport, Russian ships in ports, or road transport, you're now hurting every small business in the West that's doing business with somebody in Russia. They're probably not buying a lot of parts from Russia, but Russia might be buying a lot of parts from them. So you start to get into that kind of stuff, which could hurt a lot of small businesses. So I can see why it's taken so long, but nonetheless, I'd like them to, speed it up. But anyway, now we're at the part of the show where my allergies kick in. This is like, you can set your clocks by it. Mark Pichette, and these are the paid questions on YouTube. That's why I'm getting to them first, folks. So I apologize to the TikTokers. Do we know how much the Russian population supports the war? I've seen videos showing a certain condescension of many Russians towards Ukrainians. It's weird. Okay, there was an opinion poll recently showing like 70-some% support for the war in Russia, but it's a dictatorship where you'll get killed if you tell the wrong person you oppose the war. So, unfortunately, the older generation believes the TV news, and that's where they get their news from. Younger people get it from the internet. So you're dealing with a situation where younger people are getting the truth, older people are not. Every day, practically, I am reading anecdotes of people, and I saw one yesterday. I mean, I could have brought it up for you guys, but somebody was talking about calling home and talking to the aunt back home, and they're from, oh God, I think they're from Kharkiv, which has been getting bombed a lot. And she's telling the aunt back home, we're getting bombed every day. I've had to live in a bomb shelter. And the aunt back in Russia is literally telling her, oh, stop it. You're falling for the Ukrainian propaganda. Mind you, her niece is saying, I'm being bombed. I'm living in a bomb shelter. I'm living in the subway because the bombs keep falling. And she says, you've lived there too long. Another guy in London, actually somebody in London got the same thing. The guy in London was told you live in the West too long. But these are literally, this one was a woman who I believe was from Kharkiv, and her relatives won't believe it. And we've heard story after story after story of Russians back home talking just to their own relatives where, you can't spy on every phone conversation. And the Russians are still saying, oh, that's just Ukrainian propaganda that you're believing. Really, really nasty. As for the condescension, depends who you talk to. I mean, what's interesting is Ukrainians didn't believe the Russians were going to invade. Remember how Biden said the Russians are coming? And even Zelensky kind of criticized Biden and said, stop it. Stop talking about them. They're not coming. This is, our intelligence says they may not be coming. And when I talked to my friend Vlad, who's over there, I asked him too, and he said he actually thought the Russians were coming, but he was one of the only people. His friends, his family, almost everybody thought he was crazy. He literally packed his car, because he's from Kharkiv, and they're, I don't know, is it 25 miles? It's some crazy small distance. Actually, if anybody wants to Google while we're talking, how far is Kharkiv from the Russian border? I'll bet you it's 25 to 50 miles. It's horrifically close. He packed his car up with everything they needed, bought his wife tickets for the train because they wanted to put as many things as possible in the car because they were going to move out to Western Ukraine for however long needed, because he's got a wife and a 3-year-old daughter, and the in-laws are old and his parents are old. So they were going to take everybody. Anyway, the bombs hit. They had to rush out. But the Ukrainians didn't even believe it. The reason I was telling this story is the Ukrainians didn't believe the Russians were going to invade because they thought of them as their brothers. And they're like, the Russians would never do this to us. So it depends. Now, the Russians are being told these Ukrainians are all Nazis. And you're hearing it. I heard one story yesterday from one of the women. I don't know if she was in Bucha. I think she was in Bucha. The town where all the war crimes have happened everywhere, but the most recent horrific town with the war crimes. And she was talking about the Russians coming in and saying, we're looking for the Nazis. Where are the Nazis? And the women literally are like, there are no Nazis in this town. What are you talking about? Yes, the Nazis. They control, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, literally, there are no Nazis in our town. Well, what they were doing then, they were looking for anybody in, oh my God, one town. I forgot to put this in here. Oh my God. One town today, they took every man of military age from 50, and so from 18 to 50, and shot him dead on the spot. Everybody, they went house to house, and if anybody was 18 to 50, they shot them dead immediately. One guy who was 53, they let him live because he was 53, and he's the one who was telling the story of what happened because everybody around him was getting shot. I mean, horrific what these guys are doing. They're looking for any kind of tattoos that suggest nationalism. I mean, nationalism. What's that, the Ukrainian flag? They make the men strip all their clothes off, and if they see a tattoo that they don't like, they kill you. They look through your phone. If they see anything they don't like, they took one guy, and I think this may be Bucha as well, or it's a town around there. The guy is, he was a math teacher, and he was, they said like he was a very, sort of Ukrainian nationalist, but meaning very proud of the country, and we've got to defend the country and all of this. Well, they come to town, find out about him, who knows how, but they found out that like he's one of the big pro-Ukrainian, I mean, not like everybody's pro-Ukrainian, but meaning like, Ukrainian patriot types. He's a math teacher, and they shot him dead. So, they clearly have done a great job convincing their troops that the troops are fighting Nazis. And clearly a lot of the troops are now going, well, I shouldn't say a lot. Some of the troops are going, what's going on? Other troops, like the ones in Bucha and elsewhere, are happy. And frankly, the ones surrounding Mariupol, they're happy to kill everybody. They've destroyed that town. God knows how many people they've killed there. They're happy to do it. So, I don't know. Catherine, any change in China's, India's position or language? Not really. Today, I want to say, if I'm correct, India is on the Security Council, I'm pretty sure. Because I saw India putting out a statement. Both countries, I think, put out a statement kind of saying, we need to investigate. We need to investigate what happened. We need investigations. And that was kind of it. They will not criticize Russia by name, and they don't want to reach any conclusions. And frankly, Jeremy Corbyn did the same thing in the UK. He sort of criticized the horrific deaths, and I forgot the phrase he used, but he used some kind of a phrase that was something like, what, did somebody have it in front of them? It was some really weird thing like, whoever caused it, or something like that. Really, really obnoxious. Okay, here we go. I missed another question here. Sorry, be kind. Cecil or Cecil, whose name one of these days I will figure out which one you are. $5. Is there a statute about failure to supervise when we're talking war crimes? Could soldiers commit war crimes without reporting to higher ups? Well, I don't know about that. Now, one of the things I was just looking into this today or yesterday, they were talking about whether the fact that you were ordered to commit the war crime means it's not a war crime. And in fact, that is not a defense. Pretty much most militaries have this anyway, but also this is part of international law, that you are not required to obey, and I believe you are required to disobey an illegitimate order. So basically, when you're told to kill civilians, that's everybody knows that's a war crime. Everybody knows that is not permitted in war. So you're not allowed to say, well, he made me do it. You're just not. So that is not. I don't know about failure to supervise. Soldiers commit war crimes without reporting to the higher ups. They certainly could report. The soldiers could commit war crimes without telling the higher ups. Sure. I mean, this is one of the questions I was mentioning earlier. about how difficult it can be to prove war crimes, because the higher up you go, you kind of have to prove that chain of custody. Like, for example, whoever the soldier is that's overseeing all the men that went into Bucha, the town where they killed everybody, did that soldier give them orders to kill people? I don't know. But frankly, thank you for that, by the way, on TikTok. What if their commander said nothing about killing civilians? Nothing. He said, go in, get the town under control, and obviously arrest any troops you find. And the soldiers themselves say, we're just going to kill everybody 18 to 50 who's a guy, even if they're civilians. If the boss didn't tell him to do it, the boss is not responsible. I don't know about failure to supervise. I mean, you'd have to get into a really weird zone there, like whether they didn't train them well enough. I think it's more an issue of the boss saying, we don't care, go for it. Or the boss literally says, go kill them. But even if the boss says, you know what, we don't care, kill whoever you need to, I think the boss then, that's a war crime. Did I miss anything else? You guys are going nuts today. I mean, I'm glad, but you're going, you know what? Let me do one quick TikTok question. I'm feeling bad now because the TikTokers, sorry, TikTokers, but these guys are buying questions over there on YouTube. So when I buy a question, I've got to jump to it first. Let me see here real quick. And then next we're going with Mireya Hernandez. Leaders are not very often convicted of war crimes. Cali Panorama asks, think about this. One of the things that ticked me off at the beginning of this whole war was everybody saying how, Putin's going to do the same thing he did in Syria. He used chemical weapons and blah, blah, blah. And I remember the Syria stuff because we had those videos here in the States. They were horrific. And these young children that are just, it was horrible. These parents carrying their young children that were attacked and killed. And it just sort of hit me. I was like, that's a really good point. Why wasn't Putin charged with war crimes? Like, why didn't we have a big war crimes tribunal for Putin over that? As I said earlier, it's very hard to charge people with war crimes, unfortunately. But this time people are so ticked off. At the very least, there will be a war crimes tribunal to gather the evidence and to memorialize the evidence for history so that everybody knows what these people did. You've got to do that. You've got to do that at least. And that, I think that is clear from what Biden is saying and everybody else is saying, the UK, you name it. So Mireya says, countries that might join or take advantage of a World War III for their own personal agenda. I don't know. I'd be curious sort of what you mean by that. You don't have to buy more. You could put it in the comments. But I'm not, somebody did mention this the other day. I guess I'm trying to think of, let me put it this way. World War III, a literal World War III probably doesn't help anybody because you do run the risk of nuclear weapons, and nuclear weapons could destroy the whole earth with climate change and everything. Talk about climate change, right? That's a whole other thing. Having Russia fighting Ukraine and all the West basically fighting Russia, but by proxy via Ukraine, and all of us wasting a lot of money and weapons is a really good thing for anybody who isn't in the West, Ukraine, or Russia, because everybody else sitting back is going, I'm watching everybody else spend all their money and lose all their weapons and guns and ammunition and tanks that someday they might have used against me. So you would see that kind of personal agenda. You might see, I'm not going to name names on TikTok, but you might see other countries who aren't involved in the war who are kind of happy to let people fight, because it means all those people fighting are just wearing each other down and weakening each other. So it's possible. It's certainly possible. Thank you, Whitney. That was sweet of you. Oh, and Whitney, there you go. Couldn't special groups or forces be formed after the war to go in and get these criminals? Meaning, could you send somebody to go into a country? What did we call it? Like renditions. Was it extraordinary rendition? But rendition or extrajudicial renditions, whatever it was called. But like the ones after World War II who went after Nazi criminals. You could. The issue becomes we're dealing with Russia. So you literally, think of bin Laden, right? We went into Pakistan. The Pakistanis got very upset, but so be it. We would have to go into Russia to get these guys, or they would have to be traveling in a country in which the treaty applies, and then the country would arrest them and extradite them and all of that. So those are the two ways, but you could. Now, obviously, Vladimir Putin Well, two different things. One, Russia itself. Thank you for that. Russia itself, we'd be a little scared of invading to capture someone because it kind of is like a mini invasion. You know, sending the Marines into Russia means we sent Marines into Russia. That's potentially scary, right? In terms of escalating. And then as soon as you get higher levels, you know, are we gonna kidnap the Russian Minister of Defense? Are we gonna kidnap Putin? I mean, kidnapping soldiers is bad enough, but Putin, then we're talking a world war. So I think first we've got to prove the case, or the case has to be proven by whomever. Then they've got to prove the specific people that get indicted, or an arrest warrant, I guess, gets issued for them, and then you got to get them. And you get them, or right. I mean, Israel went to Argentina. Was it Eichmann? I'm pretty sure it was Eichmann, right? Yeah, it must have been Eichmann who they got in Argentina. You know, you can do it. I mean, Israel's got the balls to do it, obviously. You know, to go into Argentina and just grab the guy. But and also, who knows? Maybe we helped. I don't even know the history there with Eichmann, but we probably helped him, or maybe we did, maybe we didn't. But that's kind of the issue, is we're talking about invading Russia to get these guys. If these guys are in Western Europe, then it's game over for them if they're indicted. If they're indicted, then yeah, they'll be grabbed in Western Europe. Even Putin, I think, would be grabbed in Western Europe if he was indicted. That did happen today. Yes, Russia hit a nitric acid tank today. And so Elmo asks, couldn't Russia hitting the nitric acid tank be something like a chemical weapon? It could be. Now, they hit a nitric acid tank. It threw nitric acid into the air, very poisonous and dangerous, burns your skin, etc. But the next rain will take it out of the air, which is a good thing. So that's good. The question becomes, and that's a good question, did Russia hit the chemical weapon? Did Russia hit the chemical plant, intending it to blow up and be a chemical weapon that could then float around and kill people and harm people in Ukraine? If they did, then I would argue that absolutely is a chemical weapon. Absolutely. Because that's the intent. Just like when they were bombing the nuclear plants, I think they were trying to blow up the nuclear plants, so it would just throw nuclear. It wouldn't cause a nuclear bomb. You need a very specific thing to cause that, but it would cause the radiation. First of all, it might cause a nuclear meltdown, which throws radiation, but also if a bomb goes off next to plutonium or whatever, uranium, whatever they use, that stuff explodes with the bomb and it throws uranium everywhere. It throws plutonium everywhere. That's a dirty bomb. It is akin to a chemical weapon. All right, which question? I missed another question. Who did I miss? Who did I miss? Don't tease me, Begon. Sorry, folks. Begon's telling me I missed a question, but she's not telling me which question. Nope. I got Elmo. All right, if somebody could tell me which question I missed, repeat it, and I will grab a quick one from TikTok as you guys are grabbing that for me. Thank you, mods, for catching that. I apologize. Yeah, see, that's the problem, as I was saying. I mean, somebody said, we need assassins to go in and take Putin. The problem is the Russians may not like that, and that could lead to literal World War III, akin to, Russian sends assassins in to take Biden. We're at war if they do that. Same thing. If we take Putin, we're at war. So you want to be very careful with that as far as what happens next. Here we go. Kelly Halstead. Oh, sorry, Kelly. I love Kelly because Kelly's got the name of famous Chicago name, Halstead. Zelensky said these are crucial moments in this war for Western leaders and the UN. Right. I see. Here we go. You guys are posting it. Zelensky said these are crucial moments in the war for Western leaders and the UN. And the UN, I saw that actually. Yeah, Sasha, you got to wait. And the UN unable to carry out functions for which it was created. I saw when he said that. Will more WCs make the UN WCs? I'm not sure what a WC is. Make the UN war crimes. Make the UN intervene and stop the atrocities. Okay, that's the question. Gotcha. No, because the UN, as we discussed the other day, the UN's not going to intervene because we'd need the UN Security Council to approve it, and that ain't going to happen. Actually, I kept talking about UN peacekeepers. We talked about this the other day. The same problem happens, I guess. Somebody else had sort of looked into it for me or knew about it, that you need the UN Security Council to approve the peacekeepers, and that's not going to happen with Russia. So it's never going to happen. So the UN is never going to intervene to do that. We would need the West to do it. I mean, first of all, the UN is never going to be braver than the West. The UN does not have bravery in its middle name, partially because the UN is everybody. So the UN is always walking this middle ground, trying not to make any of its members unhappy. But I saw that when Zelensky said it, because basically he said the UN isn't working. We need reforms, and we need new organization, new something, because if you guys can't get your act together to address these kind of problems, then we need something new. And he's not wrong about that. I mean, but again, part of the problem is courage. The West we could have done more had we had the courage. We could have put our own peacekeepers in, and we should have said, Russia, you know what? I would have sent our peacekeepers in and said, you know what? This is not an affront to Russia, because President Putin has already said he's not invading. So we'll be so nice as to actually keep our peacekeepers away from the border. We'll go into Kharkiv and Kyiv in the east, but we'll make sure we don't go any closer to the Russian border, so there's no confusion, I would have said. Because President Putin said, Brutus is an honorable man, President Putin said there's not going to be an invasion, so clearly there's no problem. But that's just me. Harvey Kittle. Will public figures such as Zelensky need protection once they leave office? Possibly. Looking back on Russia past history, yeah. He's saying such as the Salisbury Novichok poisoning, when they poisoned former Russian, I'm trying to think, they were former Russian spies, right? They must have been former KGB or something that were in the UK, and they poisoned these guys badly. Didn't they poison him and his daughter or whatever? And they poison everybody. The Soviets did this too. Didn't the Soviets poison and kill Trotsky in Mexico, I think? The Soviets were famous for using like an umbrella that had a poison tip on it. Literally, it could be under your arm and go boom sideways, or in front of you, just hit the person's leg and it bites into their thigh and just bites their leg, and they're poisoned. And then they don't know until later and they die. So I could see them doing that. They would try to do it in a way that nobody would know what happened. But I could see Putin doing it. Yeah. Yeah, he's pissed at Zelensky, because Zelensky's young, and Zelensky's everything Putin wants to be. He's young, the people love him. He's become a cult figure in a good way. He's everything Putin wants to be. Sorry, Sasha, you gotta wait. My dog is begging for treats. All right, we'll go to at least 20 after. Let me see. Am I missing anything else here for you guys? Okay. Oh, what did Ukrainian Badass say? I do love her. Ukrainian Badass is wonderful on TikTok, by the way. This Ukrainian woman who's doing great videos for anybody on TikTok, but also you YouTube folks if you go over there. But somebody says, Wendy Hindi says, Ukrainian Badass said the wind direction actually blew the toxic smoke towards Russia. Oh, thank you for that, by the way. Not so whatever your name is. That when they blew up the nitric acid, it blew towards Russia. Well, and that's the danger. Also, when they were going after Chernobyl, Chernobyl's right near Russia. Are you crazy? They were bombing Chernobyl. That's the nuclear plant that had a meltdown in 1986. I mean, it's crazy stuff. It's absolute crazy stuff. So, okay, another TikTok question. Boom. Wow. Oh, okay. I said, well, okay. Actually, several of you, unless you're the same person, several of you are asking about cyber attacks. Who knows what cyber attacks would look like? I mean, from what people they're saying, what would a Russian cyber attack look like? From what people are saying, and Cattle, I'll get to you next. I'll put it up so I don't forget it. The experts were saying that they thought the Russians would go after our financial system, for example. And some of them were saying they were surprised the Russians hadn't yet. We know the Russians have been casing our energy sector as well. The issue for Russia is, to me, that's declaring war. If they go, Sasha, wait. My dog's got to wait 8 minutes for a treat. To me, that's a declaration of war. That's an act of war if they launch cyber crimes against us. And my suspicion is that the U.S. might have made that clear privately. I wonder if we have, but we might have made that clear privately, and that may be why Russia hasn't done it. In the same way that I have been suspicious that the reason the U.S. has not sent the MiG fighters, remember, we were talking a month ago about 3 weeks ago about sending Polish MiG fighter jets to Ukraine, and the Poland got scared, and the U.S. I didn't want to say Poland got scared, but Poland didn't want to do it directly. They wanted to give it to the U.S., and the U.S. would give it to Ukraine, and the U.S. said, we're not doing it. I'm not trying it. Let Mikey try it. Nobody wanted to try it. I wonder whether Putin or someone didn't call Biden and say, you know what? Just wait. I'm warning you now that if you give those planes to Poland, we're bombing them, and we're bombing them in Poland. We're going to bomb them on the airfield right now. I just wonder whether that isn't what happened. because it just seems like such a lack of backbone. And in that case, although even in that case, though, I still think you've got to decide whether you say, you know what, Vlad, I can sell weapons to whoever I want. You've got Belarus helping in this country. I can help too. I'm not going to attack you. You don't attack me. But if I want to give them MiGs, I'm giving them MiGs, And the final point is stop talking about your nuclear weapons because somebody else on this phone call has nuclear weapons too. Give me a break. You're bluffing. That's what I would have said. Thank you for that. Because, of course, he's bluffing. This is the thing with the nuclear war thing. It's so stupid. And I understand why folks are worried about it, but it's so stupid because the very same conversation we're having about Russia having nukes, Russia's having about us having nukes. The doctrine is called mutually assured destruction. It was the doctrine throughout all the Cold War. And it simply states that each country can destroy the other. And not just that, we don't just have enough nukes to destroy each other, but, we have our nuclear weapons deployed in a way so that a first strike isn't enough to wipe them out. What that means is if Russia launches all of its nuclear weapons against us, they can't get all of our nukes with their first strike because the biggest reason is we've got submarines and our submarines have nukes way at the bottom of the sea, maybe not the bottom of the sea, but 1,500 feet below the sea or whatever, but they're hiding. They're hiding and they're very hard to find. Putin launches an all-out attack on the U.S., and whoever's president is going to give the notice and say, it's over, send them all to Russia too. So there's no way a first strike, meaning like a surprise strike, he who goes first. And guess what? Same thing happens if America were to do a first strike against Russia. If we went and said, we're going to blow them up and send all our nuclear weapons, guess what? Russia's got submarines too. We would not be able to find all those submarines. Russia would respond and blow up, all our big cities would be gone. So it's whatever. Oh, anyway, so actually that's interesting because now we're kind of getting into Cattle's question, which is interesting. Do you think if the war, sorry, I keep hitting you TikTok folks, if the war escalates enough for the U.S. to become involved, that China and North Korea will also decide to join and back Russia? North Korea, who knows? Because he's crazy. He's crazy. So North Korea could. And whether that means North Korea attacks South Korea or whatever, he could. Also because, you get into this weird situation where Russia right now, I would argue, is more vulnerable than it's ever been. First of all, because everyone's laughing at their military, right? Everyone's looking and going, this military is not as strong as we thought it was, right? Second, because a lot of their troops just got killed and even more of them got injured and they've lost a lot of their weapons. So even if their military weren't kind of sucky, and it is, they now aren't at peak readiness because a lot of their guys have been hurt and a lot of their weapons have been destroyed. The third problem is they're preoccupied, right? Putin moved most of their best active duty troops. Russia's got a lot of troops, but they're spread all over 11 time zones. So it's not like he can move 1 million troops to Ukraine. They're defending the rest of the country. He moved most of the troops he could to Ukraine and they're busy. Well, this means even though the troops are spread around the rest of Russia, they don't have another 200,000 troops to go and fight another war somewhere else. If China were to invade, for example, right? Or even the Azerbaijan's been making noise about possibly going into, was it Nagorno-Karabakh and taking that back. Who knows? Finland, God bless Finland. Finland decides and finally says, we've had it with you. We're invading and we're going to kick your butt again. But it puts Russia in a very dangerous position and it makes other countries possibly more willing to do something. And the same thing happens with us. I explained earlier, we are busy with this war, the West. We are spending money. We are spending our weapons. We just talked about Eastern Europe, for example, that if the Czech Republic is giving tanks to Ukraine, then the Czech Republic needs new tanks to back them up. Because now they don't have tanks. Every weapon system they give to Ukraine, they need another weapon system or they can't defend themselves. So, anyway, my point there is you could get a lot of people involved for different reasons. China at least would help Russia. I don't know whether China would get involved because I think China would realize if they literally get involved, that it is World War III. But they would at least help Russia. They probably would help them militarily, I think. But China's also got to worry about a lot about economics, And it's funny. Somebody one of our earlier shows, somebody had jumped in who was born and raised in China and said the number one thing they worry about is the economy and the economics. And China going to war, war is not good for economics. It may be good for the defense industry, but it's not good for the international economic system, especially China that exports so many things, So I don't actually hold on. Tribal. So somebody's weighing in with an interesting comment on this. Tribal Flute. The U.S. is a far bigger market for China than Russia. Yeah, makes no economic sense for China to side with Russia. China focuses on money and power. Russia has not enough of either. Except right now, China is saddling with Russia, but they're doing it as kind of an offset to the U.S. They're kind of. It almost feels to me like they're playing like jealousy games. Like, oh, look at my new boyfriend, Russia. Isn't he cute? For America to kind of go, ah. But, all right, am I missing anything here? All right, I'll go, all right, we'll do one more question. I will take a TikTok. Unless somebody throws in a super chat, I will, of course, do that. Otherwise, let me grab a final TikTok question. And then remember, folks, we hang afterwards for a good 20 minutes. So we'll all just be hanging around talking. Feel free to hang. Last night, we had several hundred YouTubers, and we had 1,000 of you TikTokers that hung out last night, actually. So, and before the last question, remember, sorry, let me go here and then I'll pull up that question. And then we have our chat. Then I can go help my dog because the dog is now wanting me to give her a treat. We're doing that fundraiser, like I said. I'm raising money to get medical kits. I can't pull it up in front of me now. I know you're okay, Sash. Don't worry. She's afraid of the storm still. We're raising money to get medical kits for Ukraine. They're military grade, which means they're very good. They cost a little more than $100 a kit. They're for stopping hemorrhages, for stopping, in other words, bleeding and things, tourniquets and things like that. They're for stopping gaping wounds, people that get big wounds in the chest, how you cover it up. They're for broken bones. They're also for hypothermia. They're heating blankets. It's literally military quality kits. The Ukrainians need these. And I thought, let's get something that civilians can use, but military can use too, but is still, I wouldn't even call this defensive. It's humanitarian so that nobody kind of has a moral qualm about it, if any of you do. So anyway, we're raising money for these. I've set a goal of $10,000. We announced earlier today, and I've already had $2,000 by this evening. I had put it up this afternoon, $2,000 by this evening. My goal is $10,000. It's $100-ish a kit. We're doing it via my PayPal, but the good thing is use the link in my TikTok profile, the Beacons link, and we'll be sharing it here too. The Beacons link, and you click, first thing on the page is this fundraiser. When you click on it, you can use PayPal, but you can also use your credit card. You don't have to use PayPal. So everyone's got, not everyone, but if you've got a credit card, just use that. But it's the easiest way. Don't use my Venmo. Don't use my Cash App for this because this is so much easier to centralize the money coming into one place. It's easier for accounting and therefore easier for me to show the my own, my government, if they ever ask how much money came in, how much money went out. I want it in one place, makes it much easier. So please donate there if you can. And now let me get to a last question. But yeah, it's in the link. Exactly. Actually, be kind if you want to put up the Beacons link as well. Hang on, guys. Let me pull up the TikTok question. The last TikTok question. Oh, and Chloe's got a question too, so I will jump in on that. Well, isn't that I saw Boris Johnson. Actually, I read about Boris Johnson today. He sounded like he gave a good speech, Jason, from what I heard. A couple of you asked I saw another person asked a similar question. So the final TikTok question, and then we will go to Chloe. Let me pull up Chloe. Is actually make sure I didn't lose somebody else here. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, sorry. Actually, you know what? Just pull this up really quick. Sorry, since we were talking about this topic. Thank you, anonymous person. Says Ukraine is also attacking Russia with cyber. Interesting. Okay, search UA Cyber Shield. Okay, don't know that. Ukraine. Well, basically, I'm always afraid of telling people what to search because, no offense, we don't know what that. But well, you're right. But if it takes them to Google, they can look and see what stories. Yeah. So UA Cyber Shield, basically Ukraine cyber attacks on Russia. Google it, but there have been some. That's very interesting. All right, pull up this one again from Chloe. And so, okay, what will it take for U.S. and NATO to get involved? This is something we've been trying to figure out from the beginning. I have felt from the beginning that NATO will get involved much more than we've been doing. I don't know that we're going to war. But whether it's the MiGs, whether it's something else, whether it's a lot more tanks, but whether it's starting to put no-fly zones in the West, that some kind of tragedy was going to happen. Russia was going to do something so horrific, and it was going to be caught on tape. It was going to be caught on film, caught on video. Now, Bucha is almost there. Clearly, Sasha, you got to wait. Bucha almost got us there. It was enough to freak everybody out, which is good. I'm not convinced. Let's see what the sanctions are tomorrow. I'm not convinced it's done enough to change people's minds. Maybe once Mariupol opens up, and who knows if Mariupol will open up, because if Russia gets control of Mariupol, they're not going to let us in. So we're not going to be able to see. Actually, that scares me too. They're not going to let us in. They're going to sweep up the bodies. They're going to clean everything. I'm not clean it up, but they're going to, hide all the people they killed. So let's see what we're able to find. But I think it's going to have to be something horrific, and more horrific than we've had now. But it could be something like Mariupol if we're able to actually get in there and see what happens. Or Zelensky getting killed, for example. I think that could change the game entirely. So let's see. But Chloe had asked. Oh, okay. Thank you, Lori. Chloe had asked, hang on. Oh, how am I getting the kits to Ukraine? Oh, good question. On the fundraiser I'm doing for sending the medical kits. Yeah, there's a group bringing the way. Yes, I am not going to say publicly how they're going, but in terms of literally how they're going. But there's a Ukrainian American group that is sending them over, and I'm basically going to buy them and ship them to them. And I'm going to buy them and ship it to them, and they're already collecting lots of shipments from all over the country, basically. And it was recommended, by the way, by a top Ukrainian person on Twitter who I follow. Former journalist, think tank person who's very respected. And I even asked her privately, and I was like, okay, this group is for real. She goes, oh, no, they're for real. I've worked with them a lot. So the group is I forgot they said, they're sending 70, I think they said 70 pallets a week, which means not just boxes, but those groups of boxes that they tape together. They're sending 70 of them a week. Typically, you're not landing things. Thank you for that, by the way, on TikTok. Typically, you're flying these things into neighboring countries and they're driving in, or trains, because there's no way to really fly into Ukraine right now. It's not safe. You're not going to fly into Lviv, or certainly not going to fly into Kyiv right now. So that's how it's happening. You can try to contact me. The problem is I don't know the logistics. Like, I'm not doing the logistics, but people are using friends who go into Poland, who go into Slovakia, or Romania, or even Hungary, if Hungary's not being bad, and they're shipping it there and they're driving across the border. But I heard, for example, Hungary and one other country, I'm not sure which, maybe Romania, maybe Slovakia, I'm not sure. One of the other countries, the border guards were kind of taking stuff and not letting you ship stuff. So you really have to do your research. I can't tell you more, because thank God I'm not dealing with the logistics. And Lori, no question, just a thank you. My friends and family avoid talking about it. Oh, about this? Really? Wow. That's interesting. They avoid talking about it. I mean, I can see avoiding talking about, Trump versus Biden. We don't want to have those fights, but the war, I'm surprised about that. All right, guys, thank you. I'm going to hang out, like I said, for another 10 minutes or so. We're going to chat about everything that isn't Ukraine. This is just our hanging out and chatting afterwards. I am going to give my dog a carrot because she's very upset. She's still freaking out. And I will be back to sit with you in a second. Okay, Sasha, let's get you another carrot. Okay. Yeah, she's not happy. She saw the rain. She's scared. It's too bad. I hate when that happens. We had to let her see the balcony, didn't we? There you go. Okay. Take it to the bedroom. She's taking it into the bedroom because it's a special treat. Oh my God. Yeah, I feel bad. Oh. She's always been afraid, not always. At age 4, she developed a fear of thunder. Then, like a year or two later, she discovered, I'll put the Beacons link up here. So this is the link for the donations. You can just go to, on TikTok, go to my profile, click the link, and it'll take you to my page that has all the links. The very top one is the fundraiser I'm doing. 100% of the money is going for buying medical kits to send to Ukraine. I'm not taking a dime. Nobody's taking a dime. And they're going to be shipped over by a Ukrainian charity that's very reputable. And we've already raised $30,000 already for other humanitarian aid, food, lodging, medicines, and clothing for refugees in Ukraine. This is now an addition. So hopefully, we had 2,000 when I started tonight, so I'm hoping we got more now. And yeah, you YouTube folks have got it there on the screen. You can't click it, but you can copy it pretty easily. Beacons.ai/Aravosis. Anyway, what else we got going on, folks? This is our happy time to chat. Yeah, Hungary, I think, was the bad one, and there was another country that I was told was being bad. I know Poland has been good about about not stealing stuff, and you could transport across the border. There's another, I don't know if it's Romania. It might be Romania. It might be, but I'm not. Or no, or Slovakia. I don't know. I really don't know. Vlad's doing fine. My friend Vlad in Ukraine, who is continuing to help with the humanitarian aid. He's still with his family in the Southwest. They are safe. There haven't been any bombs in their town yet. They're in a smaller town in Southwest Ukraine. Excuse me. I'd mentioned the other day, he was a little exhausted on Saturday or Sunday. Saturday, I think. Vlad was a little exhausted because he spent the day buying food. He took, remember I said we raised $30,000, and this doesn't work, this part. I mean, I don't mind talking about this because this is like, I don't have to sort of be on for you guys. But we've spent, I want to say $12,000 so far, because he's not spending it all in one place, and he's not spending it. I mean, he's making sure who it goes to. But, oh no, more than that. No, more than that of the 30. I know that. Yeah, because we've already spent, oh God. Yeah, it's more than that. I'll have to get an accounting of how much has been spent, because he's told me, and I'm mixing it up now, but a ton has gone to these food volunteers. People are volunteering to make food around the country, and they're making it and then bagging it up like groceries and then delivering it to people who can't get food because either the local stores don't have food or they're in bomb shelters. He also then Saturday, and I talked to him actually about why he did this. Saturday, he went out and bought 400 kilos of food, or 440, he said, or something. But I calculated it. It was almost 900 pounds of food. And it cost, I think, $800 to buy, because he was shipping it to Kharkiv, because Kharkiv is very worried now that it's a target. I mean, it is the second city that Russia's bombing after Mariupol. And there's a lot of concern that Putin is going to make some big push in the next few days. And part of that big push might be to take Kharkiv, that he's going to try to take it. It's 1.5 million people, huge town, huge battle that's going to happen if he tries to take it. And the governor or whoever was warning people to get the mayor to get 2 weeks of food and make sure they had 2 weeks of food stored away. And the reason I'm telling you this is the reason Vlad went and bought food and then had it shipped to Kharkiv is because they're asking the food aid groups to no longer buy food from the grocery stores, because they want the grocery stores to work for the people. They want their food to be there for people who can still reach their local grocery store. So that's the idea. So we had initially helped these groups just by giving them money, and they bought a lot of food to buy or to make and deliver. But now Vlad himself personally went and got 900 pounds of food, 440 kilos of food, and got it packed and sent away himself. So God bless him. But he's doing fine. I thought he was a little stressed after that and said he needed some time off. And then he called me Monday. I wasn't going to check in with him until Wednesday. I was giving him a day off or two. But he called me and was excited and was then telling me about the medical kits and everything. So I was like, all right, if you want to talk, we'll talk. And I mean, I understand anyway, because it's tough, I think, because he's living through this. So it's a combination it's a good idea, Curtis. I don't have the blue glasses. I really should. I know. Curtis is saying I ought to get those blue glasses that help for looking at the computer all day. It's funny because I've got my Costco glasses, but I don't know if they're blue. I doubt they're blue. They are tinted though for some crazy reason, because I notice during the day I can tell that they add a tint, but I don't think it's a blue one. But yeah, I've been working I always am working all day anyway on my computer, so it probably would have made sense to have gotten something, the blue tinted. I know on my iPhone, I use the tint thing where the screen, my computer too, I use the nighttime thing. So at night it gets more, whatever it gets, blue or whatever it does, or whatever color, not blue, whatever color the screen's supposed to screen. So it helps you healthy wise. Anyway, Vlad's doing better. I just wanted to say he sounded a little like we were burning him out, but I think maybe that's sort of what happens when you're in a war zone is you start to get burned out, but at the same time you're in a war zone, so you don't want to take time off. So like I said, I was giving him off until Wednesday, and he called me yesterday and said, okay, let's do more. And I was like, all right, we'll do another fundraiser. So we weren't going to start this till Wednesday, but we started today because Vlad insisted. So good for Vlad. But yeah, this one's not going through Vlad. It's going to go through that Ukrainian charity, which is great. And it makes it easier for us because since they're the ones shipping it, we can save on shipping. I had looked into it and oh my God, like using I had looked into, for example, if I got a 50-pound package to send a box and like a normal sized big box, 50 pounds to send it by DHL to Poland, for example, is $1,500, $1,500. I was like, oh my God. But it kind of makes sense because to send it domestically would probably cost $100. And you're sending it internationally and DHL gets there in a few days. Like you don't want it to arrive in a month, right? These are, humanitarian supplies. So it kind of made sense, but I was glad to find this group because they're raising money. They're paying for it with the money they've raised. And this way we don't have to spend, 10 to 20% of the money on shipping or worse, So, and it means also I don't have to like receive things here at home, package them and go to I did not want to get into doing that stuff. So this is perfect. I'm very excited about this. So I'm going to literally go online, buy the stuff in bulk, mail it to them in bulk for cheap. And then they're going to do the shipping, which is fabulous. So, and as I said, it also helps because then I've got like my purchases are happening in one place. My income is coming in one place via the link I gave you guys. And that way, if anybody wants to see it, it's very easy to see money in, money out. So people, because somebody will complain at some point. I mean, the bad guys will always, I know people legitimately ask and that's okay, but meaning the bad guys will complain at some point. And this way I can go, here you go. Anyway, what else is going on? Yeah, no, Kharkiv, very important. Yep. What else, guys? Again, I put on my glasses so I can see the TikTok stuff. Sorry about that. It goes orange. I was just going to say that it goes orange. Yeah, okay, I see. You're right. Sorry, somebody was just saying on, Amy Laura was saying that the screen goes a little orange to cancel the blue. That's what I was going to say. You know what? These glasses are a little orange. That's why. These are new ones that I got I love Costco because Costco's great. It's this American company where you buy stuff and you buy it in huge amounts, American style, but they're really cheap. I mean, like crazy cheap. But like I bought chocolate chips once, which are, the little chocolate, like I think what are they, Pépites or something like that in France? I forgot what they're called. But they're the little pieces of chocolate you can bake in cookies, but they've got a 5-pound bag, which is like 2.2 kilos. I mean, it's this glorious thing that's this big. Everything, you buy toilet paper, you get enough toilet paper for half a year, whatever. But it's nice. It's nice because they're super cheap. Like I could show you, it's very American. It's not very European, I think, certainly not French. But, I've got my guest bath and my guest bathroom has got enough toilet paper and paper towels to last me through the Russian war with Ukraine. I mean, it's, it's so much cheaper. It's like, why not? It makes it easier. And they deliver. Woo! So anyway, Costco. Oh, man. Let's see. I'll give you guys like another minute or two, and then I'm going to close up shop. But thank you for this. And this is good. Yeah, we still got 1,000 people on TikTok. I love 1.1. This may be the most we've had hang out on TikTok just to kind of chat afterwards, which is nice. We haven't had that. We've had good, but not that good, I think, on TikTok. So that's very nice to see. Thank you, guys. And thank you for the ice cream code. I'm actually going to I keep saying I'm going to do this, and I keep forgetting to do it for you guys. I'm going to make my coffee mug brownie recipe that's very easy. It's pretty rich and good. You don't have to use oil, but now I've been putting like maybe a teaspoon of oil, though I didn't notice much of a difference. It just has a lot of, I'm on season 5 of the originals, maybe halfway through. But it's a good recipe, but I bought some vanilla. I like chocolate ice cream, but when I'm having it with this, like a brownie, I get vanilla ice cream on top and love the hat. Very good. So that was my ice cream tangent. I'm not such an ice cream guy, but for something like that, big. Well, one big way to help Ukraine, as I was telling folks, I mean, there's lots of ways. Look, there's lots of charities donating money. Feel free to give through anybody you want. I mean, of course, I'm doing it. I've been raising money through TikTok with you guys, also you YouTube folks, and for humanitarian aid. Thank you for the lights, by the way. Through humanitarian aid And we've been buying a lot of food and medicine and clothes via contacts I've got in Ukraine. 100% it's been going to them. And right now we're doing a fundraiser to raise money for medical kits because they need military grade medical kits, which means not just the kind of thing you'd have in a school, or I shouldn't say that. Maybe the schools have these things, but the kind of things you use if somebody has a hole in their chest, if somebody breaks their arm, if somebody loses their foot and they're bleeding, and you've got to stop the military grade Israeli tourniquet or something to stop the bleeding. It's called an IFAK kit, IFAK, which my military guys told me like that's the good kit. And they're about $100. It's funny actually. This was kind of funny. They were like $119 on Amazon, and I was like, well, okay, that's what they cost. That's what they cost. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to look at the variations. Well, they've got like 5 variations. And the variations, I'm looking to make sure. And it doesn't change what's in them. It changes the color of the pack because it's this little pack that you wear in front on your uniform. I got one of my military friends online with me today, and he was showing me by video what his pack looks like, because he was telling me, and he was the one who told me, he goes, yeah, this is the pack, because there was a pack for $33 that was just a medical kit, and he was like, no, that's not the one you need. You need this other one, because in addition to all the extra medicine for if you have wounds in war, it also has these little clipper hook things that can easily hook onto your military uniform. Or if you've got a backpack, it can hook onto your backpack, and you wear it in front. And the reason you wear it in front is that if you're injured, somebody can come up to you, and literally if you're unconscious, the medical kit's on you. If it's in your backpack, they don't even know if it's there. They've got to find it. Anyway, this is the kit we got. So we've already had like $2,000 donated before I started today's show. That was just today. I'm asking for 10,000 because that would get us around 100 kits. But if we get more, I'll buy more. Obviously, we won't be able to spend the exact amount of money because you guys are going to give me like 25 cents, whatever it is. Any extra money, meaning like if there's $3 extra, $5 extra, $10 extra, I'm going to send it to Vlad in Ukraine, and we're going to use it for more humanitarian aid. But otherwise, this amount right now, we're going to buy as many kits as we can and send them. So that'll be great. What was I saying with, I was telling you a story and then forgot. Because I saw somebody mention the kits on the donating on there again. I don't remember the story I was telling, or whatever. Any case, but I'm excited. I like doing this. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. How did I forget this? Oh, my God. I'm an idiot. You know what? Okay, oh, my God. You know what I did? Can I just show you this? Very top thing in my notes today, but it was written in a smaller font and without my glasses. The font I use is so I can read it without my glasses. I wrote it in a font that I can't see without my glasses, and I didn't see it. Today is whose birthday? Moon Mia, who is our moderator in Norway. And by the way, not just to mention like God's work that Moon Mia is doing, that she's even up in Norway helping us. You really don't have to do this during the week. Weekends are fine, but week is kind of crazy because this is awfully late in Norway. But yes, everybody wish Moon Mia a happy birthday, please. We've at least got 1,000 people on TikTok to wish you. Oh, you're getting it on TikTok. So everybody on YouTube as well, wish her a happy birthday. Oh, I'm an idiot that it's the top thing. But look, you can see how it's kind of a smaller font. I literally can't see it without my glasses. I'm an idiot. Ugh. They're still going on TikTok. This is great. I love this. Oh, it's funny. This has become, I am going to sign off after this, but this has become a nice thing because it's a little weird. Yeah, Moon Mia, somebody on TikTok just gave you the birthday party favors that explode in the air like, brrr. That was extra cute, whoever just did that. That was very sweet. They're still coming in. Well, I'm going to hold a minute because I hope Moon Mia is actually here. I shouldn't have waited so long because she would have been here earlier. Sorry. Oh, my God. Yeah, they're still coming in. Oh, my God. No, I was going to say, I'm enjoying that we do this because it's a little weird since I can't hear you guys, because it means I get tired as I'm speaking because I feel like I'm performing. So I'm kind of being louder and whatever. But the comments still help because it still does make it like we're all here, especially stuff like this, the birthday stuff. And I do see like somebody just gave you another birthday explosion on TikTok, just so you know. But it's nice. It makes it a little more human. And somebody's giving me the glasses now. Well, I got to tell you too, because it's funny. And I said the other time, like, oh, she is seeing it. Oh, good. Oh, she's on TikTok. Oh, Moon Mia is on TikTok. So she's seeing your guys thanking her. Excellent. So she got to see the birthday poppers go off. People are giving her little icons of gifts too. This is really cute. It's literally never ending happy birthdays on TikTok. I love this. Oh, that's so cute. Mine is until November. So, oh, somebody gave her a birthday cake. They bought a birthday cake to give her. This is just too funny. I'm laughing. They're giving her a heart. You guys are sweet. Thank you. This is so funny. I love this. Well, I got to say too, I mean, yeah. Well, okay. Jake did just pay. Jake just paid in Canadian. Okay. I was like, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Moon Mia. Happy birthday to you. And I don't know how you would do it in Norwegian because I don't even vaguely speak a word of Norwegian. Not even close. Other languages, I can do a word. But thanks, Jake. For that, I'll put it up. No, that's really cute. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's fun. Somebody's putting up lights. I'm sure these are all for her now. Somebody's setting up a star exploding for her. This is really funny. You want to be capturing this, Mia, because I can't. I mean, I'll end up like hanging up or something. That's really funny. No, it's funny because somebody had once complained they didn't like the gifts you guys give on TikTok because they're like the explosions and all that, like the funny glasses on my face, and they felt it was too silly for a serious topic. And this is a serious topic. And I was saying that, I appreciate it because it kind of, it breaks things up a little because this is such a serious topic, but also it's funny. Like at first, the first time somebody did it, I was like, there's glasses on my face, but it's become kind of nice. Like it's nice, and I mean, like this right now, this is even funnier, but there's something, first of all, you're donating to my work when you buy that, which is very nice to start with, but also it's friendly. There's something more, the ambiance of it, of all of us, the fact that you guys are willing to like do stuff like that is really cute and sweet. So anyway, I appreciate it as well, but I always like to bring it up because when the guy said it to me at first, I was like, yeah, I guess it is kind of silly, but then I was like, no, it's not silly. It's nice. And it's a way for people to show appreciation, which is great too. And in this case, people to show happy birthday. So, all right. I think she's got another heart. I don't want to cut anybody off, but somebody was saying, I think how to say it in Swedish or something, because I saw Swedish. Oh, I think you're saying gratis från Sverige. I can never pronounce, but I don't know what gratis is. I don't know. Anyway, I'm assuming that's to her. I'm hoping that's to her. Is that her birthday gift for her? All right, guys, thank you. I am going to sign off. I don't want to cut off. Moon Mia saying thank you to everybody. There we go. I didn't want to do it before she didn't say thank you. Yeah, no, and I'm fine. I'll show you guys. Don't worry. I'm even going to show it anyway. I was going to show when I do the order on, I'm going to do the order on Amazon. I'm just going to show you guys the order. Make it easy. It shows you who it's, that it's going to that group, and it's showing that I purchased it and it's on its way because it's not even going to me. So once you see that, you will actually see that the stuff's on its way. Boom. Anyway, I want to do it anyway because that's the way we do stuff. We've been showing pictures and videos from people thanking you guys for the humanitarian aid that we gave in Ukraine. And honestly, not only is it a smart idea because it shows you guys the money's actually being spent, but it's a smart idea because you can pull in even more money when you show people show people the actual human beings you're helping. I'm not stupid. So it only helps. So yeah, if we can, at the very least, I'm not going to be able to show you the people that are being helped because it's the Ukrainian group sending the medical kits, but I can at least literally show you the purchase order and say, we just bought 100 medical kits. Woo! And they're going to the folks in New Jersey or Massachusetts, wherever it is. It's in the Amazon. It's great because Amazon has it set up so like I can literally just mail it to these guys. It's great. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Sayonara. I will see you. Slava Ukraini. Exactly. We ought to end each show with Slava Ukraini. I agree. And Moon Mia, have a fabulous, I guess a very late birthday or a very early birthday. Yeah, someone's giving us the good night. You've been doing that. I noticed that in previous times. I don't know if it's you or somebody else that did it. The little sort of good night thing. That's cute. All right, guys. Thank you so much. You've been lovely. Later than I wanted to, but this made me laugh, so it made me feel good. This gave me a good, relaxing laugh tonight. All right, guys. I will say goodbye to the TikTokers. You've been lovely. Boom. And they stayed on. The TikTokers, we kept with 1,100 people, like to the end, which was really good. All right, guys, I'm going to say goodbye to you guys too and check. Actually, you know what? Just for fun, since I've already hung up on TikTok, I can now check and just see where we are on PayPal. Come on, baby. $2,868.54. Excellent. Good. That makes me feel good. I wanted to make sure we had enough because they're expensive. They're $100 a kit. Oh, that's the story. Okay. For you all, I'll finish the story on YouTube. They're $100 a kit. And they were 119. And I'm looking going, oh, I wonder if there's a difference in the different prices or whatever, because they were different prices. So I'm clicking around and all of a sudden I'm seeing 115. And then I got one that was 104. The only difference is the color of the back of the little mini backpack that the kit's in. It's a little pack. It's just what color it is. And if I get like the green color instead of the black color, it's $15 cheaper. And I was like, what? Like, what a ridiculous thing. And I wouldn't have even known it unless I click the colors. And I always forget that on Amazon. You've got to click the options because sometimes some color, if I'm using it in my kitchen, I don't care what color the damn thing is. If it's a potato peeler or something, and they're so much cheaper. It's the funniest darn thing. Yes, this is our super secret YouTube chat ending. People on YouTube who watch the tape will know, but only for you all. And thank you, Moon Mia. That was really, anyway, again, I'm so glad the TikTok thing was hilarious. All right, guys, now I am hanging up. So thank you so much. Tomorrow we'll do 7 p.m. as well. Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, US, Washington, D.C. I didn't tell the TikTokers that, but I'll tell them now. All right, bye, guys.